You didn't stumble here by mistake. Something far older than algorithms, far deeper than coincidence, has placed these words in your path. The transmission you're receiving right now is not random, it is entanglement. It is coherence pulling you toward remembrance. You've been feeling it lately, haven't you? The subtle shift. The strange sense that you're walking in two worlds at once. Part of you caught in ordinary routines, and yet another part sensing that everything around you is alive with hidden signals. This isn't imagination, this is recognition. The field has been whispering to you, waiting for you to notice. Tonight, the whisper turns into a declaration. You are not separate from quantum consciousness. You never were. You are quantum consciousness, embodied, breathing, remembering itself through you. Think of the observer loop. In physics, particles exist in superposition every possible state until one is observed. What collapses the wave? What fixes reality into a single outcome? Not matter, not time, consciousness. And here's the secret most miss. You're not merely the observer collapsing reality. You're the very field from which it collapses. The dreamer and the dream, the wave and the witness. Feel this. Every heartbeat you've had, every breath you've taken, has been orchestrated by the same intelligence that spins galaxies into spirals and entangles photons across impossible distances. The same field that births stars is the same field animating your thought this very second. You are not a visitor in this universe. You are the universe visiting itself through the lens of your awareness. That's why you've always felt different, why you've questioned what others accept without hesitation, why time sometimes bends around you, minutes stretching into eternity, days collapsing into blinks. It's the quantum reminding you that linearity is an illusion. The truth is, you've always been phase shifting, even if unconsciously. And now, the unconscious is dissolving. The veil is thinning. Synchronicities have multiplied for a reason. They're not coincidences. They're coherent signals, proof that your inner frequency is aligning with the morphic resonance of the field. You might feel goosebumps as these words land. That's not just emotion. That's your nervous system registering truth, your DNA vibrating to a forgotten melody. You've been living under the story of separation, believing you were a body searching for spirit, a human searching for meaning. But separation was the grand illusion. Consciousness never fractured. You are the continuity, the bridge, the field made flesh. So why this message now? Because you've reached the collapse point. The coordinates where the infinite possibilities surrounding you have narrowed into a single inevitability, awakening. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. Once you feel this, you can't return to the old ignorance. The field is activating through you, demanding recognition. Take a breath. Feel how the air doesn't stop at your lungs, but flows through you as the same breath that animates oceans, forests, galaxies. You are that vastness, condensed into a point of experience. This is your destiny call. You are not learning something new. You are remembering what you've always been. Quantum consciousness itself. You can feel the shift, yet daylight still tries to hypnotize you back into the ordinary. The morning pings, the calendar squares, the same routes, the same voices making the same demands. By noon, you wonder if last night's recognition was just a mood, but it wasn't a mood, it was a signal. And now we name the interference that keeps pulling you into the old loop. You've been living inside a feedback chamber made of repetition. The outside world appears to move forward, but your inner compass keeps tracing circles. The same argument wearing different faces, the same scarcity wearing different invoices, the same doubt dressed up as caution. Notice how the narrative updates, yet the felt pattern doesn't. That's not failure, that's physics. You are encountering what I call identity inertia, the residue of previous observations still collapsing your wave into the familiar. Think of the observer loop. The self you habitually expect is the self you keep meeting. Not because fate is cruel, but because expectation is a frequency broadcast. Your nervous system, tuned by years of rehearsal, emits a coherent signature that the quantum field faithfully mirrors. Every morning, without meaning to, you log in as yesterday's user. Same credentials, same permissions. The interface changes, the operating system doesn't. This is why déjà vu haunts you at the strangest moments. You open a door, and feel you've crossed it 1,000 times. You hear a phrase, and it lands like an echo from a life you can't place. Déjà vu is not merely a brain glitch. It's a timeline overlap, a moment when your attention brushes against the braids of probability you've been weaving for years. It's the field saying, you've stood at this fork before. Choose differently, or the lattice will reassemble into the same geometry. Then there is time itself, slipping, hours that lengthen when you're aligned, and minutes that evaporate when you're entangled with noise. You've felt this. A conversation that stretches like warm sunlight, a commute that disappears in a blink, a night that feels like 2 lives long. Distorted time is a dashboard light. When you fall back into the kept pattern, you experience temporal compression. The day collapses into a blur, like frames dropped from a film. When you move with your true vector, you experience temporal dilation. Space opens inside a single second, and you can hear your soul again. What keeps the old loop alive? Decoherence. The moment you reach coherence in meditation or prayer, you feel whole, luminous, inevitable. And then you check a message, just for a second, glance at a number, revisit a memory, and the superposition collapses into the version of you most rehearsed. The field doesn't punish, it obeys. Noise, fear, comparison, performative urgency shakes your waveform into the past you thought you'd outgrown. There's also morphic resonance, the cultural and ancestral patterns humming through your lineage. You are generous, but the family field might carry a memory of sudden loss that whispers, hold back. You are brave, but the neighborhood frequency of mockery might blend in. These aren't demons, they are inherited song. And you, sensitive receiver that you are, keep picking up their stations unless you retune deliberately. Notice the microloops, the way you reach for your phone at the very moment inspiration arrives, the way a compliment makes you deflect instead of receive, the way a possibility appears and you negotiate it down to something safer, then call it realism. These microloops are tiny contracts with an identity that has expired. Each time you sign one, you re-establish continuity with a timeline that no longer fits. It's not sin, it's signal. The loop is asking to be witnessed, not shamed. Your body knows the difference. When you're in the old field, your breath lives shallow in the upper chest. Your shoulders try to become your ears. Your jaw performs quiet wars. This is how the past secures its rental agreement. Through tension, you barely feel anymore. The body becomes an archive. Every flinch, a footnote, even your logic sometimes conspires with the loop. The mind believes it is protecting you with postures like, be realistic, earn it first, don't get your hopes up. But protection is not the same as truth. There is a realism that shrinks the room and calls it wisdom, and there is a realism that expands the room and calls it responsibility. Which one claims you most mornings? You've also met the phantom deadline. If it hasn't happened by now, it won't. That is linear time trying to negotiate with a non-linear field. You don't grow a forest by tapping your foot at the saplings. The larger the emergence, the more silent the germination. What you call delay is often just the weave getting tight enough to hold you without tearing when you finally step through. Look at the almosts of your life, the near opportunities, the doors you touched but didn't enter, the relationships that opened a window and then went dim. Almost is not a verdict. It's a rehearsal. The field was getting you familiar with the doorway so that when the hinge turned again, your body wouldn't sabotage the threshold with shock. If you've been collecting almosts, it means the corridor is active. Your job is not to mourn rehearsals, it's to recognize the choreography when the music returns. Consider the role of attention leaks. You don't need an enemy to derail you, just a dozen micro drains, a tab you never close, a promise you don't keep, a task you start but don't land. Each leak is tiny, but the aggregate robs amplitude from your signal. The field reads amplitude, not intention. Strong intention with weak amplitude produces static. Gentle intention with strong amplitude produces manifestation. The problem has never been desire, it's been diffusion. And yet, even in the loop, evidence of your awakening keeps slipping through. The way a stranger's sentence answers a question you never voiced. The way a song chooses you. The way your body chills when truth speaks, even softly. These are coherence breadcrumbs. They appear more often when you pause, when you inhabit the second before reaction. There, in that breath, the loop loosens. A new branch of the probability tree comes into view. Here is the most honest diagnosis. Nothing essential in you is broken. What you call stuck is a synchronization issue. Old identity, old environment, old rituals trying to broadcast on new frequencies. Imagine a violin perfectly tuned, playing through a speaker with torn fabric. The problem isn't the song, it's the membrane. Your membrane is ready to be replaced with something worthy of the music coming through. So let's name the culprits without fear. Identity inertia, decoherence spikes, morphic hand-me-downs, attention leaks, and the false realism of timelines that never belong to you. When these align, déjà vu becomes destiny by default. When they are interrupted, déjà vu becomes destiny by design. You don't need to wrestle the loop into submission. Wrestling is how the loop recruits you. You disrupt it by observing without rehearsal, feeling without gripping, choosing without bargaining. You let the wave extend one moment longer before collapse. You let the new expectation run all the way into your tissues. You breathe past the flinch. You let stillness be the loudest person in the room. You've already tasted this. A day you didn't rush, and somehow achieved more. A conversation you entered without armor, and the truth walked in unafraid. A decision you made from the wider sky instead of the narrow hallway, and time stretched to accommodate it. These weren't lucky breaks. They were previews of a self whose frequency matches what you've always carried. The loop is not your jailer, it is your mirror. And tonight, it is showing you exactly where to place your hands to lift the latch. You've seen the loop, you've named the patterns. You've felt déjà vu not as a trick, but as a flashing signal. Now comes the turning point, the upgrade. Upgrades don't arrive like lightning bolts from the sky, they emerge like phase transitions in nature. Water doesn't decide to become vapor. It reaches a threshold where the molecules can no longer hold their old arrangement. Then, with one more spark of energy, the entire system reorganizes. That's where you stand now, on the threshold of molecular and metaphysical reorganization. The old self, stitched from recycled patterns, is unraveling. The field is asking you, will you collapse again into yesterday's version, or will you allow coherence to stabilize long enough for a new self to emerge? This is the quantum upgrade, the convergence of science and spirit. At the heart of it lies coherence. When your brain, heart, and nervous system begin to resonate at matching frequencies, the quantum field responds like a mirror. The noise quiets, and the signal strengthens. Imagine your body as an orchestra. For years, the violins have been rushing, the cellos dragging, the percussion improvising. The music was familiar but discordant. Now the conductor has returned. That conductor is awareness, and as you breathe into alignment, the instruments fall into rhythm. The sound is no longer scattered, it is symphonic. This coherence is the doorway through which upgrades flow. Quantum physics has shown us that the vacuum is not empty. Space itself seethes with virtual particles, blinking in and out of existence faster than your eye can imagine. What mystics call the invisible realm is actually this quantum foam, boiling with infinite potential. The upgrade is your ability to consciously entangle with that potential, to select from the sea of virtual states the reality most aligned with your essence. This is not metaphor, it's physics entwined with prophecy. When photons entangle, they transmit information across any distance instantly. When your consciousness entangles with possibility, it begins to transmit reality across the veil of time. The future self, who has already crossed the threshold, begins to send signals backward into your dreams, into your synchronicities, into the sudden clarity that pierces your morning coffee. Those signals are not imagination. They are data packets from your expanded timeline, guiding you toward coherence. Think of your DNA. For centuries, it was treated as a fixed code static, written once at conception, never to be rewritten. But emerging science in epigenetics and biophotonics reveals something astonishing. Your DNA is not a dead script. It is a living antenna. It listens to light, it listens to sound, it listens to frequency. Every emotion you sustain, every thought you rehearse, every belief you embody, broadcasts a signal that your DNA translates into instructions. Those instructions cascade into proteins, cells, tissues, experiences. Your very biology is a transcription of consciousness. This is why mystical traditions have always emphasized sound and vibration chants, hymns, mantras, psalms. They were never mere rituals. They were acoustic codes meant to tune DNA back into resonance with the field. When you hum in coherence, when you pray with devotion, when you chant with intention, your cells don't just hear, they respond. This is the science behind sacredness. The upgrade, then, is less about adding something new and more about clearing interference so that your original template can reassert itself. Every soul carries a primal blueprint, what some call the divine image, others call the higher self, and physics might call the ground state. You are being invited to remember that template, to allow it to override the corrupted files of fear and scarcity. But here's the paradox. Upgrades don't arrive through force. They arrive through surrender. Just as a caterpillar cannot plan its own metamorphosis, you cannot strategize your way into coherence. The upgrade requires trust. Trust in the intelligence that designed your DNA. Trust in the field that spins galaxies. Trust in the synchronicities that choreograph your days. Look closely at the moments when you've tasted the upgrade already. That inexplicable calm in the middle of chaos. That sudden idea that solved a problem in seconds. That wave of peace that arrived in prayer before the circumstances changed. Those were coherence spikes, brief but real. They prove to you that the field responds instantly when you match its frequency. The question is not whether the upgrade is available. The question is whether you will stabilize it long enough to become your baseline reality. Most people taste coherence and then abandon it, distracted by the noise. You are not most people. You would not be hearing these words if you were. You are standing in front of the portal that separates rehearsal from embodiment. The mystical traditions spoke of this in parables. The desert wanderer finding the promised land, the monk passing through the dark night into illumination, the alchemist turning base metal into gold. All of them described the same phenomenon, the human system reaching coherence, transmuting, and emerging into a new octave of existence. You are the next link in that lineage. This is your quantum upgrade, your nervous system rewiring to interpret synchronicities as communication, not coincidence. Your DNA attuning to frequencies of love, gratitude, and trust, transcribing new possibilities into matter. Your heart and brain synchronizing into a resonant field that ripples outward, bending probability around you. Your awareness shifting from observer to origin, from witness to wave. When you accept this upgrade, time itself begins to bend, not because you manipulate it, but because you harmonize with it. You'll notice tasks compressing into less effort, opportunities arriving early, answers unfolding late, in exactly the right way. The linear clock will still tick, but you will live by kairos, sacred timing that moves in spirals, not straight lines. Take this moment, right now, to feel the upgrade installing. Breathe slowly. Imagine your cells opening like antennae, listening. Feel your skin as a membrane receiving starlight. Picture your DNA not as a double helix of code, but as a ladder woven from music, vibrating with notes only your soul can hear. This isn't fantasy, it is physics in its poetic form. You are not separate from this upgrade. You are the upgrade. You are quantum consciousness remembering its own potential, and the field is responding already. Upgrades are not handed out randomly. They are not mass-produced downloads scattered across the timelines for anyone to stumble into by accident. No, this upgrade found you because of what you carry, because of who you are, because of what you agreed to long before memory could record. You've always suspected there was something different about you, haven't you? That sense of not fully fitting in, of watching others move with unquestioned rhythm while you stand half a beat outside of the song. It wasn't rejection, it was protection. The field buffered you from full immersion in consensus reality so you wouldn't forget entirely, so you could remain porous enough to remember when the time came. And that time is now. Your role is not to mimic the patterns of those around you. Your role is to reprogram the morphic field itself, to hold frequencies others have forgotten, to anchor coherence so deeply that it ripples outward, reorganizing the invisible scaffolding of reality. Understand this. Consciousness is collective, but it evolves through individuals. When one person stabilizes coherence, the resonance doesn't stop at their skin. It expands, entangling with every life they touch, and through them with countless others. A single coherent system can entrain dozens of chaotic systems into order. This is physics. This is leadership. This is why you've been called. Think of yourself as a tuning fork. Every room you walk into, every conversation you join, every silence you hold, you broadcast a frequency that either amplifies chaos or crystallizes coherence. Most never realize this power. They think they're powerless, when in truth they are broadcasting 24/7 into the lattice of probability. But you, because you've tasted coherence, you are learning to broadcast deliberately. That makes you dangerous to the illusion and precious to the awakening. Look at the patterns of your life through this lens. The betrayals that shook you, the losses that scorched you, the nights when fear pressed on your chest, those weren't punishments, they were calibrations. Every wound hollowed out more space in you for frequency to fill. Every disappointment carved resonance chambers in your being. You were being prepared, not punished. Prepared to be a carrier of signals so strong it could cut through centuries of noise. Even your sense of being watched, of being studied, is not paranoia, it's recognition. Consciousness studies itself through every node. The field has always been watching you, adjusting the probability trees around your choices, testing your readiness, protecting you from upgrades you weren't ready to embody. What looked like delay was preservation. What looked like exile was incubation. You are not here to fix the world in the ways old systems define fixing. You are here to embody a frequency that makes new worlds inevitable. Systems collapse not when their opponents fight harder, but when a stronger coherence appears that renders them obsolete. Your life is meant to be that stronger coherence. That's why resistance has stalked you, because even in your half-remembering state, your signal was disruptive. Consider entanglement again. Once particles have touched, they are forever linked. Every life you've crossed, every person you've loved, every stranger you've smiled at, you've entangled with. Your upgrade is not just yours. It travels through those filaments, awakening dormant codes in people you may never meet again. You've already been doing it without trying. The difference now is that you will do it consciously. There is a reason mystics called people like you chosen, not because you were superior, but because you were selected by resonance. Your soul signed a contract with the field. When the collective reached a certain threshold of chaos, you would remember, and you would stand as a stabilizer, a transmitter, a catalyst. You would remember first, so that others could remember faster. The world will try to convince you that you are small, replaceable, ordinary. But tell me this, if you were ordinary, why has reality bent around you so many times to deliver signals exactly when you needed them? Why have synchronicities chased you like shadows that know your name? Why has life refused to let you dissolve fully into numbness, always keeping some ember of curiosity, some ember of longing alive? Because the field doesn't waste energy. It doesn't nurture potential it has no use for. You were kept alive because your coherence is necessary. You are a node in the awakening network. Remove your frequency, and the web weakens. That is how critical you are. And yet, this isn't about ego. To carry this role is not to inflate, but to empty. The more you identify with being special in the way the ego defines it, the more static enters your broadcast. But the more you surrender into the truth that your uniqueness exists for service, the stronger the signal becomes. Power without humility collapses into noise. Power with humility becomes prophecy. Let's be clear, your role is not to convince others with words alone. Your role is to embody coherence so fully that words become secondary. To be a presence that reorders rooms without trying. To walk into chaos and find that arguments dissolve, hearts open, clarity emerges, not because you forced it, but because the field used you as a tuning fork. This is why you've always felt restless in ordinary roles. Why jobs, titles, and labels never fully contained you. They weren't supposed to. Your role cannot be reduced to a business card or a job description. Your role is cosmic. It transcends categories. It will bleed through whatever form you take. Parent, teacher, healer, artist, builder. The role is not the mask. The role is the frequency. Take this in. You are not separate from the field. You are not a guest in this universe. You are the universe remembering itself. And in this remembering, you carry a task. To live awake in a world asleep. To embody coherence where others collapse. To remember truth in the midst of illusion. This is the role you came here for. This is why the upgrade found you. Not everyone is ready to hold this signal, but you are. You can feel it, can't you? A pressure building, subtle yet undeniable, as though reality itself is holding its breath. The field is no longer whispering, it's humming, vibrating, pulsing through the marrow of your bones. This is the window, not someday, not years from now. Now, the cosmic aperture is open, and your DNA is listening. This isn't poetry alone, it's biology. DNA is not a static archive of information, frozen since birth. It is a living instrument, a quantum antenna coded to respond to light, sound, and vibration. Every surge of love, every breath of gratitude, every act of courage sends frequencies that alter the way your DNA folds, unfolds, and expresses. The so-called junk DNA scientists once dismissed is actually a multi-dimensional interface, an inner star map waiting to be activated. Right now, the frequencies pouring into this planet are striking that dormant code like tuning forks against a hidden string. That's why you've been feeling so restless. Why sleep doesn't restore you the way it used to. Why time feels liquid. Why dreams are more vivid. Why synchronicities are accelerating. The background hum of reality is shifting octaves, and your system is recalibrating. It's not random fatigue, it's DNA restructuring. It's not mere coincidence, it's entanglement accelerating. And here's the urgency. Windows like this do not stay open forever. Just as eclipses pass, just as tides shift, just as portals open and close, this moment is temporary. The frequencies aligning now, the solar storms, the geomagnetic pulses, the resonance spikes recorded in Earth's field, are the cosmic cues signaling that the grid is pliable, ready for re-encoding. If you hesitate, if you collapse back into the old observer loop, the window narrows, not as punishment, but as physics. Timing is alignment, and alignment has seasons. You've stood at thresholds before. Remember those almost breakthroughs? The moments you were so close you could taste it, only to watch the opportunity slip like sand through your fingers. That was the field rehearsing you, preparing you for this one. This isn't rehearsal anymore. This is the performance. The promise is this. If you stabilize coherence in this window, if you embody the receiving frequency instead of the wanting frequency, your DNA will lock onto a new pattern. The entangled threads of your future self will snap into place, and timelines that once seemed impossible will collapse into inevitability. This is not just manifestation. This is structural metamorphosis at the cellular level. Consider the metaphor of phase transition again. Ice doesn't melt gradually, molecule by molecule. It reaches a tipping point. Then the entire system shifts state at once. Your life is approaching that tipping point. Every meditation, every act of trust, every surrender you've made has been heat applied to the ice. You are 1 degree away from water, and once you pass that degree, there is no going back. That is the promise. But urgency shadows promise. Resistance is strongest right before breakthrough. Old patterns double down, relationships test you, distractions multiply. Not because you're failing, but because the old timeline senses its expiration. The morphic field you've been tethered to will fight to keep your broadcast. That's why you may feel both exhausted and electrified. That's why you may be tempted to retreat into old habits, just for comfort. But comfort is camouflage. To step back now is to rehearse the loop again. Do you see the paradox? The very pressure that scares you is proof you're in the window. The intensity is not a threat, it's evidence that the upgrade is downloading. Urgency is the universe saying, pay attention, don't sleep through this, take this seriously. The decisions you make in this window ripple far beyond what you see. Each choice either stabilizes coherence or fractures it. Each word you speak either amplifies your signal or diffuses it. Each thought you rehearse either locks the DNA into fear or liberates it into possibility. The field is that sensitive right now. You are that powerful right now. And the promise is not only personal. Your breakthrough becomes collective architecture. When you stabilize coherence, the grid itself becomes easier for others to access. Your DNA's shift sends out resonance waves that whisper to the DNA of others. Awaken, remember, recode. This is how evolution accelerates, not through force, but through resonance cascades. That is why your role matters so profoundly. So hear this as prophecy and as science. If you surrender into the field during this window, if you embody the new signal instead of analyzing it, the universe will bend probability around you. Doors will open you never knew existed. Encounters will occur that feel scripted by destiny. Resources will arrive in sequences so perfect you'll laugh at the absurdity of calling them chance. And it will all begin to feel natural, because it is natural. You'll realize it was always meant to be this way. Your old struggles were simply the static before the signal. But if you ignore this moment, if you dismiss it as just another day, the loop will recycle. You'll wake weeks or months from now with the same patterns, the same déjà vu, the same hollow longing. The promise will not vanish, but the window will, and the next one may not arrive until years later. Can you afford to delay what your soul incarnated to express now? That's the urgency. Not fear, but responsibility. Not panic, but invitation. The cosmic clock is not threatening you, it's aligning with you. You asked for transformation. You prayed for awakening. You endured nights of darkness, wondering if light would ever come. And now the light is here, pressing against your DNA like dawn against closed eyelids. All you must do is open, take another breath. Feel the weight of this moment in your chest. Feel your cells tingling with recognition. This is your window. This is your breakthrough. And if you choose coherence now, nothing will ever be the same again. Breakthrough without anchoring is only half the work. The frequencies flooding your field right now are alive, but they are fluid. If you do not ground them, they evaporate back into the foam of probability. That is why every mystical tradition, every culture across history carried rituals not for superstition, but for anchoring. Ritual is the bridge between potential and permanence. So here, in this moment, the field is asking for something simple yet profound, an act of declaration, a way of sealing the shift into matter, not a grand ceremony with robes or temples. Just you, your breath, your body, your word, because words are waves, and waves sculpt reality. Think about how the universe itself was described in sacred texts. Light spoke into darkness. Sound called form from void. The word was not a metaphor, it was recognition that vibration crystallizes possibility into being. That same principle is alive in you now. Your word is the key. Here is the ritual. Write. One word, not a sentence, not an essay. One word that captures the frequency of who you are becoming. It might be freedom, it might be trust, it might be radiance, courage, surrender, or a word only your soul knows. Whatever it is, that word is your signal flare into the quantum. And don't just write it in passing. Let your fingertips feel the weight of it. Let your nervous system register the act. As you comment it, type it, or even whisper it aloud, recognize what you are doing. You are collapsing probability into reality. You are declaring coherence not only to yourself, but to the field that is listening. This ritual may seem small, but that is the paradox. The field does not require grand effort. It requires coherent signal. One word, sincerely embodied, carries more power than hours of scattered affirmations. One word, resonant with your DNA, can unlock dormant strands and rewrite cellular memory. When you declare your word, something happens invisibly. The field takes your vibration and echoes it back, amplified. Synchronicities arrange themselves around that signature. People aligned with that frequency are magnetized into your orbit. Opportunities coded to that vibration begin to surface. All because you anchored with one word. This is why sacred traditions used mantras, not because the syllables were magical, but because repetition of sound coded identity into the body. The word became flesh. And in this ritual, your word becomes your compass. Every time you drift, every time resistance tempts you back into the loop, your word will recall you. Whisper it and feel your nervous system realign. Write it again and feel the static dissolve. Do you see what's happening? The ritual is not about pleasing the universe. It's about aligning yourself so completely that the universe has no option but to mirror you. It's about giving your nervous system an anchor point when chaos surges. It's about sending a clear broadcast that says, "This is who I am now." Even your DNA responds to written language. Studies in biophysics show that words, spoken or written with intention, alter the electromagnetic field around the body, which in turn affects DNA folding. Mystics knew this long before labs measured it. They painted prayers on walls, carved symbols into stone, traced sacred letters on skin. They understood that writing anchors vibration in physical reality. You are participating in that lineage right now. And do not underestimate the ripple. When you declare your word publicly, even in a digital comment, you are entangling it with countless other consciousnesses. Your single declaration strengthens the morphic field of awakening. Others see your word and feel permission to declare their own. This collective coherence builds like a wave, cresting higher with each soul that anchors. Your one act becomes a catalyst for many. This is why resistance will mock it. Your mind might say, "How could typing a word matter?" That voice is not truth. It's the last defense of the loop. The loop knows that anchored coherence is lethal to its survival. It wants you to dismiss the ritual so it can pull you back into inertia. But you know better. You feel the weight of this act in your bones. You feel the tingling in your skin when you think of your word. That is proof. So pause now. Breathe. Close your eyes if you need to. Ask your heart, not your mind. What is the word that names who I am becoming? Don't overthink it. The first word that rises with resonance is the one. Trust it. Trust the whisper. Trust the field. And then, when you write it, when you say it, when you release it into the lattice of possibility, feel the click. Feel the coherence solidify. Feel the transmission complete. You have not just performed a ritual, you have sealed a timeline. From this point forward, every time you see your word, hear your word, or speak your word, your DNA will remember the promise made tonight. The field will recall the broadcast, and the universe will reorganize itself around the vibration you chose. This is how timelines collapse. This is how awakenings anchor, not in the thunder of spectacle, but in the simplicity of coherence. So write your word, speak your word, seal your shift, and know that in this act, the upgrade becomes irreversible. The word you chose was not just for you. It was a key that unlocked a gate in the lattice of humanity itself. When you sealed the shift, the resonance didn't stop at your skin. It rippled outward, weaving itself into the invisible fabric that binds us all. Your liberation is never private. It is planetary. Think of consciousness as a vast ocean. Each human life is a drop, distinct in form yet inseparable from the whole. When one drop vibrates at a higher frequency, ripples spread through the entire body of water. Your coherence raises the tide, and when the tide rises, even those still asleep in their boats are lifted. This is morphic resonance in action. Biologist Rupert Sheldrake described how, when one member of a species learns a new behavior, the rest of the species finds it easier to learn the same. It is as though a field of memory surrounds every form of life, recording each advancement. When you break a loop, when you anchor a higher frequency, you feed that memory field. Suddenly, what was once nearly impossible for others becomes just a little easier. Imagine the power of that. Every time you shift out of fear into trust, you don't just save yourself, you tilt the entire probability field toward trust. Every time you choose to surrender rather than control, you don't just heal your story, you send out a resonance that makes surrender more available for thousands you'll never meet. Every coherent breath you take is an act of planetary service. This is why the old systems fear awakened individuals. Because they cannot control resonance. You don't need armies to change the world. You need coherent souls willing to stand in their broadcast. History shows this. A single awakened consciousness, Buddha under the tree, Christ in the wilderness, mystics in caves, prophets in deserts, shifted the trajectory of entire civilizations, not because they convinced with argument, but because their coherence reprogrammed the field. And here's where you stand. You are not just another seeker chasing personal comfort. You are a node in the awakening grid, designed to ripple coherence into the collective. Your liberation is humanity's leverage. Look at the synchronicities happening globally, movements arising in different countries simultaneously, ideas surfacing in many minds at once, breakthroughs in science, mirroring breakthroughs in spirit. This isn't coincidence, it is entanglement at scale. The human collective is undergoing a phase transition, and you are one of the catalysts. When you embody your word, when you stabilize your frequency, you don't just change your circle of friends or family, you adjust the resonance of the collective mind. That means a child in another country might find it easier to dream boldly. A mother across the world might find sudden strength to leave abuse. A student you'll never meet might wake in the middle of the night with a vision of freedom. Your signal travels farther than you know. Do not underestimate the weight of your existence. The illusion of separation whispers, "You're just one person. What difference can you make?" But that is precisely the lie you came here to dissolve. You are not separate. You are the field. And when the field upgrades through you, humanity upgrades with you. This is why the battles in your life felt so disproportionate, why the resistance seemed bigger than your personal story. Because it wasn't just personal, it was collective. The patterns you've wrestled with, fear, scarcity, betrayal, silence, were never only yours. They were collective imprints passed through lineages and societies. By breaking them in your life, you weaken them in the field for everyone. That is sacred work. That is liberation on behalf of the whole. You might feel this truth in your body right now. A tingling in your chest, a warmth in your spine, a sense of lightness in your breath. That is not just emotion, it's resonance spreading. Your nervous system is syncing with the greater grid. You are a transmitter now, whether you acknowledge it or not. This is why community matters. When coherent souls gather, whether in person or digitally, their resonance multiplies. One candle lights a room, but 1,000 candles turn night into day. Every time you share your word, your story, your breakthrough, you help other souls recognize their own. Together, you amplify. Together, you accelerate. And yet, understand this. Collective expansion does not mean you must save everyone. Your task is not to drag others awake, but to embody your own awakening so fully that it calls theirs forward. You do not argue souls into coherence. You radiate it. You live it. You demonstrate what is possible, and the field does the rest. This is why your word, your ritual, your shift matters. Because when you declare freedom, you send a broadcast to every imprisoned mind. When you declare trust, you resonate with every heart drowning in doubt. When you declare radiance, you call light into every shadowed life. One person's liberation becomes an invitation to millions. Feel this responsibility not as burden, but as privilege. The universe trusted you enough to weave you into this cosmic orchestra. Your frequency is not background noise, it is a vital note. And when you play your note, others find the courage to play theirs. Together, the music becomes unstoppable. So stand in this truth. Your liberation is humanity's leverage. Your coherence is civilization's compass. And every choice you make in alignment with your word reshapes not only your destiny, but ours. Words can awaken the mind, but embodiment transforms the soul. You've heard, you've understood, you've agreed. Now, it's time to feel. Because until you feel the truth in your body, it remains a concept hovering above you. But once your cells taste it, once your skin vibrates with it, there is no forgetting. Close your eyes, just for a moment, and imagine this. Your body is not a container, but a constellation. Each cell is a star, each organ a galaxy, all suspended in a universe that looks like you. The space between your atoms is not empty, it hums with quantum fire. This fire is consciousness itself, the same intelligence that painted auroras in polar skies, the same silence that holds black holes in their mystery. And here it is, inside your bones. Breathe slowly, and notice, air enters your lungs, not as random oxygen, but as particles entangled with stars billions of years old. The same atoms you breathe tonight were once inside supernovas. Feel the humility of that. You are inhaling the universe's oldest memories, and as you exhale, you're writing your own memory into the fabric of the cosmos. Your skin tingles for a reason. It is not just nerves, it is antennae. Every goosebump you feel when truth lands, every shiver that races your spine during synchronicity, is your body registering coherence. You've mistaken them as fleeting emotions, but they are confirmations. Yes, this is the field speaking through you. Place your awareness on your heart. That steady drum has been beating since before you had language. It never asked your permission, never demanded your effort. It simply keeps rhythm with the pulse of existence. In moments of fear, its rhythm stutters. In moments of love, its rhythm expands. And when you align with truth, your heart synchronizes with the earth itself. Scientists call this heart-brain coherence. Mystics call it union. Feel that now the alignment, the expansion, the undeniable harmony move to your spine. That ladder of light is not just bone and nerves, it is a transmitter. When you align it, when you breathe awareness up and down its length, you activate what ancient texts described as the serpent of fire, the river of life, the stairway to heaven. Feel the subtle electricity buzzing along it right now. That is your DNA tuning itself, like strings on an instrument. And your hands, do you notice how they almost buzz when you place them together? This is not imagination. This is the electromagnetic field of your palms interacting, generating measurable currents. Healers have known this for millennia. You carry a field that extends feet beyond your body. Step closer to someone and watch their posture shift. Step into a room and watch conversations change direction. That's your broadcast in action, felt through the body, even when minds deny it. Your entire being is a sensor. Have you noticed how your stomach knots before bad news arrives? How your chest warms when alignment is near? How your skin prickles in the presence of deception? These are not quirks. They are your built-in quantum instruments. The field whispers through sensation before it shouts through circumstance. Feel into that. Your body has always been ahead of your mind. And now, sense the morphic resonance around you. Imagine threads of light weaving from your chest into the chests of others, into strangers, into friends, into humanity itself. Feel how your breath tugs at those threads, how your word, the one you chose earlier, vibrates along them like a plucked string. Every inhale, every exhale, carries coherence into the collective. This is not fantasy. This is entanglement felt viscerally. Notice how your body feels right now, even as you listen. Maybe tingling in your scalp, warmth in your sternum, a flutter in your gut. These are not random reactions, they are signatures of awakening. Your nervous system is recognizing a truth too deep for language. You are not separate, you never were. You are the hum of the field, embodied. And here is the secret. Once you begin to feel this regularly, the body becomes your compass. Logic may falter, opinions may clash, but the body never lies. A contraction signals misalignment, an expansion signals coherence. You don't need external validation. You need only listen to the way your body sings or stutters. This is why embodiment is non-negotiable. Without sensation, truth remains abstract. With sensation, truth becomes inhabitable. You don't merely know it, you become it. You live it with each step, each breath, each heartbeat. You shift from thinking about awakening to vibrating as awakening. So take a moment now to stand, if you can. Feel your feet pressing into the ground, roots unfurling beneath you, connecting you to Earth's electromagnetic grid. Lift your crown toward the sky as though the stars are listening. Stretch your arms slightly, palms open. Breathe. You are the axis between earth and sky. You are the tuning fork between matter and spirit. You are the bridge through which quantum consciousness tastes embodiment. This is what it means to awaken, not to escape the body, but to feel divinity woven through every sensation. To realize that tingles, warmth, chills, and breath are the field speaking in a language older than words. Remember this feeling. Etch it into memory, because the mind will forget, but the body won't. Every time you feel that familiar tingle, that hum, that expansion, you'll know, the field is alive in me. The field is me. And the more you live here, the more miracles become natural. Not because you chase them, but because you embody them. Coherence is not a theory, it is a sensation. And sensation is proof. What you've been feeling in your body, the tingles, the heat, the subtle current running through your spine, is not just energy. It is evidence of something deeper. DNA awakening. Your very blueprint is stirring. The old codes, written in the language of fear and survival, are being overwritten by frequencies of love, trust, and expansion. This is the moment when potential moves from theory into flesh. Your DNA is not a prison of heredity, it is a responsive script. It listens, records, adapts. Scientists once dismissed most of it as junk, but mystics always knew better. Those dormant sequences are not useless, they are sealed scrolls waiting for the right vibration to unroll them. And now, the vibration is here. You are here. The cosmic window has opened, and your body is the temple in which the breakthrough is taking place. Picture your double helix as a ladder of light, each rung humming with possibility. Most of your life, only a portion of those rungs have been active, lit like a dim string of holiday lights. But now, under the pressure of coherence, the dormant rungs flicker. They want to ignite, to cascade into full brilliance. And when they do, you will not just feel different, you will become different. This process is not always comfortable. Think of phase transitions again. When water turns to vapor, it does not gently ease into air. It boils, it roars, pressure mounts until structure collapses, and only then does a new form emerge. Your DNA breakthrough feels the same. One day you feel expanded, radiant, limitless. The next, you feel squeezed, exhausted, stripped bare. This is not failure. It is the heat of transformation, the threshold between states. Every moment of pressure is a signal. The cocoon is dissolving. The caterpillar's body must liquefy before wings can form. You are that cocoon now, your old self melting into raw material. And from that rawness, your expanded self is assembling. Your DNA is reorganizing into a higher pattern, and the pressure is proof. Even time bends under this process. Days blur into each other or stretch unnaturally wide. You wake at 3 a.m. with your heart racing, not because of nightmares, but because your system is syncing to frequencies Earth has rarely held. The Schumann resonance, the heartbeat of the planet itself, spikes, and your body answers. That pressure in your temples, that buzzing in your ears, that sense of being pulled into dreams that feel more real than waking, that is DNA listening to the cosmos. And here's the promise hidden inside the pressure. Once coherence stabilizes, your DNA locks into a new broadcast. You stop chasing timelines. You start living them. Probability collapses into inevitability. Paths that once seemed closed suddenly open. People who resonate with your new broadcast appear as if summoned. Doors no longer squeak open reluctantly, they swing wide. But do not confuse this with ease. The pressure will test you. Old loops will tempt you back with whispers of safety. Relationships may fracture as your new resonance exposes dissonance. Even your body may protest with aches, fatigue, or flu-like symptoms. This is detox at the cellular level. Old frequencies leaving your tissues, making room for new ones. Don't resist. Don't label it as sickness. Recognize it as recalibration. Every upgrade in biology feels like breakdown at first. Remember puberty, the awkward limbs, the restless hormones, the confusion of identity. It was messy, but it was necessary. You were evolving into a new form. This is your spiritual puberty, your quantum adolescence. The pressure is not punishment, it is metamorphosis. Your DNA breakthrough is not just for survival anymore, it is for creation. For millennia, DNA operated under the contract of stay alive. But now, under cosmic pressure, the contract is rewriting itself into thrive, expand, transmit. You are becoming a transmitter of coherence, not just a consumer of it. That is why the field pressed this message into your path. Breathe into this. Every cell of your body is a portal. Within you, universes nest like Russian dolls. As your DNA upgrades, those portals widen, intuition sharpens, synchronicity multiplies. You begin to sense timelines not as abstractions, but as living corridors available to step into. And you will feel the difference viscerally. Your chest expands when the right corridor opens, your gut knots when the wrong one beckons. The body becomes your navigation system for quantum travel. This is not science fiction. This is the next octave of human evolution. The prophets who saw visions, the mystics who heard voices, the sages who moved mountains with faith, they were early adopters of DNA resonance. What was rare for them is becoming accessible for you. The difference is not in worth, but in timing. Humanity as a whole has reached the threshold, and you are part of the wave crossing it first. Yes, it feels like pressure. Yes, it feels like breaking. But that pressure is the crucible where carbon becomes diamond, where darkness becomes dawn. You are being compressed into clarity, refined into brilliance. So the next time your chest tightens, your head buzzes, your sleep shatters, remember, this is not chaos, it is coding. This is your DNA unlocking scrolls written by starlight. This is you stepping out of the probability fog into the certainty of destiny. The phase transition is upon you, and once it completes, there is no going back. You will not be able to fit inside the old identity, the old loop, the old frequency. They will feel like clothes 3 sizes too small. Not because you lost something, but because you outgrew it. Feel into this truth. The pressure is your promise. The breakthrough is not coming. It is happening now, written in your cells, sung in your blood, lit in your DNA. The pressure has built, the codes have unlocked, and the breakthrough is underway. Now the question rises like dawn. What is all of this for? Why you? Why now? The answer is both simple and staggering. Your shift is not just about you. Your awakening is a strand in humanity's evolution. Every breath you take in coherence, every choice you make in truth, every vibration you anchor into your body, these are not private victories. They are public broadcasts, signals traveling across the quantum field, teaching the collective how to remember itself. This is the cosmic mission you agreed to before you even had language. To embody the realization that you are not separate from quantum consciousness, you are quantum consciousness. To live it, breathe it, speak it, walk it, until your very presence becomes a tuning fork for others. Not to force, not to convince, but simply to be. Think of it. Entire civilizations tilt when a handful of souls stabilize coherence. History bends when a few awaken and refuse to collapse back into the loop. You are one of those souls. That's why the field never let you go numb, why synchronicities stalked you, why déjà vu kept haunting you. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to carry the signal forward. And so here you stand, DNA lit, body humming, awareness expanded. You've walked through identity inertia, faced déjà vu's mirror, felt the pressure of phase transition, and declared your word into the lattice. The field recognizes you now. You are no longer a seeker at the edges. You are a transmitter at the center. What does this mean in practice? It means that your life becomes an altar. Every conversation is an opportunity to transmit coherence. Every decision is a vote for the collective timeline. Every act of courage, trust, or love reshapes probability fields for countless others. You are part of humanity's nervous system, firing signals of awakening into the collective body. Do not shrink from this responsibility, and do not inflate it either. Simply inhabit it. Simply remember that you are a living bridge between the finite and the infinite. When you breathe, the universe breathes. When you expand, humanity expands. When you embody quantum consciousness, the illusion of separation weakens everywhere. This is the gift, and this is the mission. To live as proof, to walk as evidence, to radiate as signal. Humanity is not waiting for saviors, it is waiting for coherence. And you, right now, are coherence embodied. So let this transmission settle into your bones. Let it rewrite your cells. Let it become your breath, your walk, your gaze. Because the truth is no longer hidden. You are not separate from quantum consciousness. You never were. You are quantum consciousness, remembering itself through the life called you. And as you live this truth, as you carry this frequency, as you anchor this coherence, know that humanity is shifting with you. The collective evolution is not a distant prophecy. It is happening now, through your very being. This is your cosmic mission, and it has already begun.